Meghan Markle hits back at reports that changing her name on Archie's birth certificate was a royal snub. Harry plans his return to the UK and gets a big win in his battle against the tabloids.
Something was printed about Harry that was clearly untrue and demonstrably false, and he was able to prove that it was false.
Duchess Kate kicks off Children's Mental Health Week as she rates her math ability while she homeschools her children.
Rate your maths ability after several months of homeschooling. -5.
Plus, royal expert and author Robert Jobson talks about the upcoming Princess Diana movie with Kristen Stewart and Meghan's decision not to return to the UK this summer.
The way to put an end to it is to sort of appear with your brother-in-law and sister-in-law, have a big hug, make up, break bread, get on with it. But all this, it's almost turning it into a Netflix drama.
We've got that plus so much more in today's Royally Us. Hello to our fellow royal lovers and welcome to Royally Us. I'm Christina, that's Molly Mulshine, the host of the Diva Behavior Podcast. Molly, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you, Christina?
Good. We got a lot to get to, so let's get right to our royal viewers, our royal watchers who had, of course, a lot of things to say about last week's show, but a lot of congratulations your way, Molly, for your recent engagement. Tracy says, oh, yay. Congrats, Molly. Great show, ladies. I watch often, so thank you, Tracy.
Thank you, Tracy. That is so nice. I really appreciate it.
And Lisa Bradford says, congrats, Molly. May you and your husband-to-be have a happy, healthy life together.
Thank you so much, Lisa.
And Daniel says, so nice. And Daniel says, Charles isn't as popular as William, but it's not a popularity contest. If things were decided based on popularity, the UK would have a president, not a monarch.
We also don't even decide the president on popularity. So
this is very true.
This really made me think about a lot of things, and I would love to talk to Daniel.
That is very, very true, because if it was a popularity contest, things would have been a lot different the past 4 years.
Yeah, a lot to think about.
Totally. Excuse me. Well, let's get to our royal roundup and kick it off with Duchess Meghan slamming reports that changing her name on Archie's birth certificate was a royal snub. So this came out saying that her name, Rachel Meghan, was on her birth certificate, but then it was changed to the Duchess of Sussex.
Yeah, so I can't believe how this story blew up. It seems, right? It seems like it was just kind of paperwork that was filled out by someone in the palace to make the birth certificate for Archie match Meghan's passport or something along those lines, I would assume, right?
I think so too. And a lot of people are saying that this was a snub against Duchess Kate because she used her real name in her birth certificates, and then others were saying it was a nod to Princess Diana because she used her royal title on William and Harry's birth certificates. But I guess she had enough, and she came out saying that this is, if it wasn't offensive, it would be laughable, pretty much.
Yeah, I found it really interesting that she even spoke up about it, because I think that what happened there is this thing that we call the Streisand effect, where a celebrity speaks about something that wasn't that big of a story, and that catapults it into the stratosphere. Like, I didn't even hear about this until Meghan released the statement about it. And now I am thinking, wait a minute, why did that happen?
Right.
Even though I'm sure there was nothing nefarious about it, now I am just like, that's so weird. Why would they not have a standard way of doing it for every woman in the royal family? It's just
very strange. But you're so right with the whole Streisand effect. It feels like she does that with a lot of her stories. I mean, hence the whole like legal battle and things like that. Like all this stuff probably would have gone away, but she does keep speaking about it. But maybe because, it had something to do with her son, and she's like, I want to just clear this up because I'm not snubbing the royal family. Like, this was a palace decision, not my own.
So right. Also, like, truly, who cares? Like, she probably figured it wouldn't blow up because who cares? It's paperwork. This is like the news story equivalent of going to the DMV. So she probably didn't think it was going to be this crazy. So it's so weird.
I totally agree with you. Well, Prince Harry actually won an apology and substantial damages from the Mail on Sunday and Mail Online for accusing him of snubbing the British Armed Forces after Megxit. Now, Harry sued the outlet's publisher, Associated Newspapers, over 2 articles that were published in October claiming that he had not been in touch with Royal Marines and that outraged leaders wanted to dump him as Captain General. So he basically said that this is not true. His lawyer said that this is not true, and he actually won this in court this week.
I think this is a perfect example of the type of lawsuit that royals and public figures should be going after. Like, something was printed about Harry that was clearly untrue and demonstrably false, and he was able to prove that it was false. And I think this is a really good way to help people learn the truth and actually get the media to sort of pay a little more attention to fact checking, as opposed to maybe Meghan's lawsuit, which is a little bit more of a gray area, and it doesn't have to do with what's true and what's not true. So it's harder for people to kind of understand it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And they said that he is getting substantial damages for this, and he is donating all of that to the Invictus Games, which were actually just announced that they were being pushed back to spring of 2022 with everything going on with COVID and everything. It was supposed to happen this spring, but they moved it back another year as well. So
yeah, I think, yeah, it's great that they're donating the proceeds and everything.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, well, a big win for Harry, and hopefully, or maybe this is a telling sign of what's going to happen with Meghan in the future, but who knows? All right, well, Prince Harry is reportedly returning to the UK to attend Prince Philip's 100th birthday celebrations and the Trooping of Colour in June, as well as the long-awaited unveiling of statue in memory of Princess Diana at Kensington Palace in July. Now, another report says that Meghan and Archie will stay home in California. So we're going to talk about this a little bit more with Robert coming up. But, you know, what, in your opinion, what do you think about Meghan staying home? Do you think it's a royal snub?
I think that there's no way she can win. I think if she doesn't go, it's going to be considered a royal snub. And if she does go, she's going to be accused of trying to take all the attention from all of the birthdays and everything that's going on. So if I were her, I would probably go, just because I would want to see people after this long lockdown that we've had. But I understand why she wouldn't, because she can't win. What do you think?
I don't know. A part of me maybe thinks that she might be pregnant too. Like, they have been trying, we know that they have been trying for another baby, and, you know, she did suffer that heartbreaking miscarriage, but maybe they tried again, and maybe she is going to have the baby in the spring and doesn't want to travel so soon after. I can't imagine Harry making these plans if she's due right around that time. So maybe she's expecting and doesn't want to fly, or maybe I don't know. That's just speculation. I have no idea, but that could be a legitimate reason why she doesn't want to go.
Absolutely. And it would make the choice a lot easier.
Yes. Yeah, totally. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Right. Well, Duchess Kate kicked off Mental Health Week by posting a selfie video raising awareness. Take a look.
This year's Children's Mental Health Week is all about expressing yourself. That's finding creative ways in which to share your thoughts, ideas, and feelings. So whether that's through photography, through art, through drama, through music, or poetry, it's finding those things that make you feel good about yourself.
Now, we know that this is definitely something that's always super important to Kate. She has been an advocate for mental health for years, and this is a big week for her.
Yeah, it's great. She decided to shoot this video while she was out for a jog, which is really cute and relatable. I guess her whole point of view with this video was saying that you have to find creative ways to share your thoughts, ideas, and feelings. So maybe that would be photography, drama, art, music, poetry. I think for her, it's athletics, because she's such a jock. We always see her out doing sports and everything. So it was a really good, I thought it was a great video, because not only did it share this information about Mental Health Week, but she also gave sort of constructive advice for how to kind of take care of your own mental health.
Yeah, totally. And I think we're going to be seeing that all this week, because, like we said, it's Children's Mental Health Week, and she's going to be talking a lot about it. And I do love the little selfie videos, so keep them coming, Kate. Well, Prince William posted an anti-racist message to Twitter after a series of football players were racially abused online following their matches this week. So what did William have to say?
So William posted 3 tweets in a row about this, and he said, racist abuse, whether on the pitch, in the stands, or on social media, is despicable, and it must stop now. He said, we all have a responsibility to create an environment where such abuse is not tolerated, and those who choose to spread hate and division are held accountable for their actions. So he said he commends the players, supporters, and clubs who call out and condemn this abuse in the strongest terms.
I mean, it's great that he spoke out about this, and, you know, they have spoken out about Black Lives Matter in the past and things like that, but a lot of people were criticizing him online, because obviously Meghan has been bullied, and a lot of people have been saying racist comments to her for years, and nobody from the palace has spoken up. So a lot of people, yes, were praising him for speaking out about this, but also condemning him as well, because they're like, where were you when Meghan was getting attacked online?
It is a baffling choice, and I would really be interested in hearing the conversations behind the scenes that led to this statement happening and no statement ever happening to support Meghan. I just can't really see where the benefit was for the Cambridges to stay silent throughout all of that. And I think we're seeing that play out, and we're seeing the ramifications of that with all the news stories about the tension between them. So, I mean, of course, it's always great to call out racism, but I just want to understand why this is sort of the first time, besides that other Heads Together campaign post about Black Lives Matter.
Right. If I was Meghan, I'd be pissed.
Yeah, I would be like, oh, now you can tweet?
Right, yeah, right. Now it's okay. But who knows? All right, well, now it is time to spill the royal tea, and starting it off with royal family's infamous 1969 Fly on the Wall documentary. Now, this BBC documentary was supposedly banned by Queen Elizabeth for decades for giving the public an overly intimate view of the royals, but it mysteriously leaked on YouTube and was quickly taken down. But we saw this in The Crown. They depicted this whole thing in The Crown, how, you know, they let cameras in for a very intimate documentary, and it didn't really show the palace in the best of light. So it aired once. I think it was the highest rated documentary ever on the BBC, still to this day, and it has never seen the light of day.
Yeah, I really want to know. I think I understand why the Queen wants to cover it up, because, you know, it's been reported that she feels that it was too intimate. They showed too much of their family life. We saw them barbecuing and just like hanging out. At one point, one of the princes is just like laying across the roof of a car. They're just really being normal people. And apparently the Queen was very disturbed by that when she saw it. And she thought, okay, let's put a little more distance back between us and our subjects. But the thing I really want to know is, why is the BBC so invested in keeping it covered up? Isn't it kind of in the public interest for people to see it?
You would think so. I don't know. They must have like a deal with the palace, and maybe, I don't know. But yes, it was very interesting that it leaked. It was taken down pretty much right away, but I know a lot of people probably saw it and got a glimpse into what life was like for them back then. I mean, I would be fascinated to see it.
Yeah, apparently it really focuses a lot on Charles, which is really ironic, because it's like it was filmed in 1969 and it's all about how he's the future of the monarchy, and we're still having that conversation now, 50 years later. So
crazy.
Wild.
Well, now it is time to break down the royal rules, and to help us this week is author and royal expert Robert Jobson. We chat Kristen Stewart taking on Princess Diana in the upcoming movie Spencer, and what Meghan not returning to the UK means for the royal family. Take a look. Let's kick it off with your reaction when you saw Kristen Stewart as Princess Diana for the first time.
Well, it's funny, isn't it? That every time a new Diana appears, everyone's just looking really to see if she's the spitting image. And I think the most important thing is how well the actress can interpret the role, and we'll have to wait and see on that. But as for the photograph of her, I thought she looked remarkably like her from the photograph. And having been someone that has met Diana and knew her fairly well, you know, I thought it was uncanny, really. But we'll just have to see. I think what's more important is the authenticity of the portrayal, and we'll have to see how that develops. Because I mean, my understanding is it's going to be a good script and it's going to be a good premise, but it might not necessarily have actually happened in the way they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of pressure goes into playing this role?
A lot of pressure. I mean, you get people talking about you even before you've been appeared on the screen. There's the criticism, you know, should we even be making a series about Diana, which I think really, you know, 25 years on nearly is a bit ridiculous, because she has a quarter of a century, you know. Diana was a historic figure. There are many people, you know, who didn't really know Diana and didn't experience what an incredible person she was. So I think if there are films and documentaries and dramas that are made about her, I think it's perfectly legitimate. I don't know about you, but I can't understand the hoo-ha that goes, and the furore that goes with people saying, oh, we should let her rest in peace. And this, of course, but we don't allow, you know, Presidents John F. Kennedy to rest in peace. We don't allow, you know, the bottom line is they are historic figures, the most incredible people from, you know, of their time, like Mandela or Gandhi. And people like that, of course they're going to be films made about them because they are people that achieved a great deal in their lives.
People are saying that this script is not authentic to reality at all, correct?
Yeah, I mean, apparently Diana wasn't even there the weekend that the whole thing is featured. But, you know, I don't know about you, I'm a big fan of Peaky Blinders and the series there, great series and great drama. And I think we've got to look at these things as drama, really, and not as docudrama and not as documentaries. And, you know, they've imagined a situation which can give everybody into a setting, which probably works for the script, about which, and a time when Diana was contemplating the end of her marriage. I mean, I wrote a book with Ken Wolfe, her bodyguard, who was obviously there most of the time alongside her and knew her very, very well. And so I think that there, in that, you get authenticity. And I think there's no need to go veering off too much into the imagination. But yet, we haven't seen it yet. So, I mean, it's difficult to be too critical. I'm sure that as a drama, it will be good. And I'm sure as a piece of theatre, it'll be good. But that doesn't necessarily mean, you know, we should get too het up about it being real. I know they're real characters, but the fact is, I think we should allow a license there, as long as they don't depict it as real, and as long as what's happened with The Crown, people believe that the things that are in it are absolutely 100% true when they're not.
As somebody that has met Diana and has covered Diana throughout the years, and obviously this movie centers around when she decided to end her marriage, do you know when that happened?
Diana was flip-flopping around a lot over the marriage, is the truth. You know, some people who still think, I mean, Ken in particular, who knew her very well, yes, they were separated and they got separated, and there was, then we had the Panorama interview and we had other things like that. Look, these were, obviously this marriage was a car crash, but I still think she still loved the Prince of Wales. There wasn't enough room in it. There were 3 people at least, and because we're not counting Diana's lovers, but he was in love with Camilla. And clearly he was, because he married Camilla later. I know that she would have tried her hardest to stay married, but I think the decision was made for her after Panorama by the Queen. So although she would have thought enough is enough on a number of occasions, I think she would have probably kept trying. And but after Panorama, that was it. I think the Queen said enough's enough, you have to divorce.
So there are reports that Meghan will not be returning to the UK this summer with Harry. Why do you think that is?
Because it would be turned into a poppy show. I think that she's probably won't return. I can't see her returning at all. She made it quite clear she didn't like it here. She has I think it's a mistake, but I think it's inevitable that she won't come back. How can they be seen to be avoiding media hype if she doesn't really put an end to it? The way to put an end to it is to sort of appear with your brother-in-law and sister-in-law, have a big hug, make up, break bread, get on with it. But all this, it's almost turning it into a Netflix drama, which is, I'm sure, not what the palace or the royal family would want. I think it's rather sad and childish, personally.
So you think if she came that, you know, people would stop talking about it maybe? Yeah,
I think they would. But she obviously doesn't want to. There's a degree of embarrassment, I think, in the way that they held a gun to the Queen's head, in the way they did what they did was pretty shocking and awful, the way they basically set out what they were doing. But look, ultimately, they're a family, and I'm sure that the Prince of Wales, as a grandfather, would love to see his grandson. But the other thing you've got to remember, I suppose, on the other side, is that, you know, you've got the Prince Philip's 100th birthday, you've got the Queen's 95th, you've got the celebrations there, you've also got the opening and unveiling of the statue of Diana. Well, if you have Meghan there, will any of those other people feature, or will it all be about Meghan, pictures of Meghan, which is not her fault? It's the tabloids will inevitably feature Meghan on the front page, and so it all becomes the Meghan show. And I don't think anybody, particularly in the royal family, would want to detract from Duke of Edinburgh's 100th birthday and turn it into as they call a poppy show over here.
Well, Robert, I know you have a new book coming out in a few weeks, correct? All about Prince Philip. So tell me all about it.
I mean, actually, I'd started writing it. I've always been fascinated by the Duke of Edinburgh, and when the lockdown came, I thought this. I mean, I've written books about other people. I just thought I was going to start researching into him because his life has been extraordinary, and I think that I do call it Prince Philip's century because it's this year. Remarkably, this year is the 100th anniversary of his birth. The extraordinary life of the Duke of Edinburgh, because it is extraordinary. You know, Harry, although he had this, he's almost like he was the golden child, you know, this chosen one. You know, he was related to all these princes and princesses and kings and queens around Europe. He was penniless, pretty much. Yeah, it was not an arranged marriage, but it was, there he was him gravitating towards the Queen, one of the richest and most eligible heirs to the to royalty in the world. So amazing story about how he got there and the character he is, you know, very robust. I think we're in danger of, and that's one thing that I hope I've addressed in the book, is that we're in danger of caricaturing him, you know, almost like he becomes a cartoon with his funny, rude comments and the sort of irascible behaviour. You know, this is a very, very dynamic man who, you know, he was the man that really was the formation of the World Wildlife Fund, got us thinking about saving the planet long before many other people. And he galvanised a lot of people around the world to do something about it. Yes, he's a man of contradictions. He has his faults and he has his flaws. And, you know, I try to cover as much of it as possible with due respect. But, yeah, I found him a fascinating man. I'm lucky enough to have met him a number of times, and but I still think it's a free and frank book about him, and I've enjoyed researching it and writing about the man.
Well, we can't wait to read it, and everybody make sure you go pre-order your latest book, Prince Philip's Century. Robert, thank you so much for taking so much time and speaking with us today. We really appreciate it. All right, well, moving on to our royal history moment of the week. And with the passing of Larry King, many have uncovered Meghan's interview with broadcast journalists that she did back in 2013 with her Suits co-star Patrick Adams. And in it, she opened up about her newfound fame. Take a look.
At the same time, I think it's the eye-opener that our lives have really changed, you know, to go from having some anonymity to now the privacy is gone, but it's great that the show is so successful, and that's part of what comes with it.
I just love this because she had no idea what life was going to be in just a few years.
It's so funny because at one point her co-star Patrick Adams is like, well, it's not like we're Brad Pitt or something. It's not like we're so famous. And it's like, well, now she is.
Now she is. Now she like arguably is maybe more famous than Brad Pitt. You know, I mean, who would have thought that life was going to change so much for her in just a short amount of time?
Absolutely. And I loved what she had to say about sticking with trying to be an actor, even though it kind of took her so long to take off. And she said, someone said, don't give it 5 minutes if you're not going to give it 5 years. And she said at that 5-year mark, she got a little nervous, and then she booked Suits like a year or two later. And then 5 years after this interview, she was married to Prince Harry. So there's something about that 5-year thing. I'm going to have to think more about that.
It works out for her. It really does.
Yeah.
All right. Before we wrap up, we have to check in with our royal kids, our royal kiddos in Pint-Sized Palace. And Duchess Kate got real about homeschooling Prince George and Princess Charlotte. Take a look.
Become a hairdresser this lockdown, much to my children's horror, seeing mum cutting hair. We've had to become, teacher, and I think I personally, feel pulled in so many different directions, and you try and do your best at everything. But at the end of the day, I do feel exhausted.
I love this. I love that she rated herself a -5 in the math department, because I would do the exact same.
She got really real. I feel like we've never seen Kate any realer than admitting that she has no idea how to teach her children math. And I love it. It's great.
I love that. And I also love that she said, during this time that Prince William has been, her biggest support system. I feel like we don't really see it. I mean, that's maybe as much PDA as we're going to get from them. But
Absolutely.
She kind of shouted him out, because the two of them have really had to be working as like a tag team. Plus, I'm sure they get a lot of help, but the two of them have been working, side by side and homeschooling and doing their royal duties from home and kind of balancing a lot with 3 kids.
Yeah, it must be rough. I mean, having everybody's eyes on you at the same time, doing all of that seems like a lot.
Seems like a lot, but they're making it work. All right. Well, that's it for this week's episode of Royally Us. Check back on Us Weekly's YouTube channel every Wednesday at 10:30. Keep commenting, keep subscribing, and Molly and I will see you next week.